Here comes a new challenger!
Capcom in the 90s was just peak game design. That's the good shit right there. Like a warm blanket. It was so good that to this day, there's still a rift in my soul that has yet to be filled with anything quite as substantial. Capcom was running a train on just about everyone in the 90s, including your mom and your grandma, at the same time. It's how your grandma died, or at least that's what I read on Wikipedia. A while ago, we did a video on Final Fight. Final Fight is badass. It's like some of the most gang shit ever made. It's not their best beat 'em up though. Despite its importance and legacy, neither is The Punisher. Again, really, really good. Baller as fuck even, but not their very best. Neither is Captain Commando. Fuck that game. No, in 1994, Capcom would meet with a bunch of Fox executives and go on an ass-to-ass bender involving copious amounts of angel dust and Sherm. Many foreskins later, they would come out of it with new insight, a lust for life, a plethora of STDs, and a movie tie-in deal. Alien vs. Predator is happening. Tell your family you won't be seeing them for a while, because you're pitching a 10 at your local arcade, and you won't be coming back until you've 1cc'd it. When you think AVP video game, a few things come to mind. There have been a staggering amount of light gun shooters. There's the FPS games like the 94 Jaguar game, AVP 1 and 2, which came out in 99 and 01 respectively, and AVP 2010. In my opinion, though, Capcom's AVP is, and always will be, the coolest of them all, because you can body slam a xenomorph. Like that first sip of coffee. Chestnuts on an open fire. Crack. That's the good shit right there. So the plot is pretty simple. Dutch Schaefer, yes, that one, and Lin Kurosawa have been left behind to fend off a insurmountable amount of xenomorphs. And they've pretty much accepted that they're fucked until out of nowhere, a bunch of predators show up and save their lives. Sup, pussies? Having a little trouble there? Don't worry. We'll take care of these guys if you let us skin you alive. Okay. There are 4 playable characters, and this is the first instance of genius Capcom game design. Think back to Street Fighter 2 for a moment. You get to the character select screen, and wow, that's a lot of characters. There's a stretchy guy, a green electric man, a guy with a helipad for a haircut, a sumo wrestler, a woman with huge thighs. Where do I even begin? I'm just going to pick the karate guy. One problem. Your friend, sitting right next to you, is also having a similar character crisis. Fuck it, he says. My balls, you exclaim. I'm the karate guy. Now here's the question. Who gets to be the karate guy? Capcom asked themselves this exact question because, keep in mind, mirror matches did not exist until Champion Edition. They racked their brains for a while. They spurred out expletives and justifications, which I can't repeat because, for whatever reason, the literal translation for greatest video game ever from Japanese to English is extremely racist, at least according to the translator I used. Google Translate. Is Google racist? We're doing clickbait from now on after this video. Anyway, what was I saying again? Oh yeah, right. One of the character artists, unnamed but most likely Akiman, because he was a freak, snorted a line of cocaine and said, "Hey, what if we just make 2 karate guys?" The room went silent. We did that already in Street Fighter 1. We don't need to do that again. This is Street Fighter 2, the greatest game we will ever make. Agiman replies, "We can do whatever the fuck we want. We made Mega Man. Money is practically printing out of my ass." So if you said, "Nick, I've played Street Fighter 2. One guy picks Ryu and the other picks Ken," then congratulations, you're correct. 2 karate guys. So, 2 predators. Let's be real. I love Dutch and Lin, but the average person playing AVP with their buddy is going to want to be the fucking predator, so you get 2. But okay, let's actually give Lin and Dutch a chance here. Besides, it's Dutch Schaefer. That's supposed to be Arnold, except he looks a little different. I mean, he's built like a brick shit house. He has a bionic arm with a built-in smart gun. That smart gun. The one in Aliens that makes that cool-ass noise when it shoots. He's sort of like Mike Hager from Final Fight. Look, he even punches people in the dick. Pow, bitch! He's got wrestling moves. He can powerbomb xenomorphs, and when he gets knocked down, he says a swear word.
Cunt!
That's weird. I don't remember him saying that. Is something wrong with my game? All this footage is actually straight from an AVP PCB, but maybe it's from fucking Pakistan or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, it's badass. Lieutenant Kurosawa is actually really badass, too. She's supposed to be a character from the Dark Horse AVP comics I never read. But because of licensing issues, they just made a new character. That fucking says it all, doesn't it? Capcom just whipped up a character, just like that. She's cool as shit, too. It's kind of a shame she's trapped in this game from 1994 that's barely had any re-releases over the years. But hey, she shows up in Ken's Alpha 2 stage and her puppies are hanging out, so there's that at least. She has a Glock and a katana and energy blast move, which you do by holding and releasing the attack button. And she even has Kami's cannon spike. Damn. Otherwise, she's really reminiscent of Guy. Like, no bullshit. She walks the same. She has that same Bushin Ryu backhand punch move that all the Bushin Ryu characters in Final Fight and Street Fighter have. Is she a Bushin Ryu practitioner? Bushin Ryu. I like the sound of that. I like the sound of this, too. Capcom has us by the balls with some of these characters, by the way. We probably won't see some of them ever again, and if we do, it'll be a cold day in hell. Anyway, what about the two Predators? I'm not talking about Kevin Spacey and Woody Allen. I'm talking about Predator Hunter and Predator Warrior. Get your mind out of the gutter. Hunter and Warrior are basically just palette swaps of each other. They've got slightly different weapons and different get-the-fuck-off-me moves. The staples that cost a little bit of health to perform. Functionally, they're the same, though. They've got dive kicks, the same Dragon Punch type moves that everyone else has. But with their weapons, they get some gnarly range. They also have their iconic shoulder cannons, which fuck everyone up. I like the way they say, overheat. They probably have the coolest jump of any beat-em-up I've played. Look at this shit. Whoosh! Lunges straight across the screen. Imagine if you could jump in on someone like this in a fighting game. Fuck! First thing you'll notice about AVP other than the characters is how many enemies are on screen. That is a lot of fucking aliens. Part of the fun of these old arcade beat-em-ups is trying not to drown in a horde of enemies. And AVP kicks things up to some pretty absurd levels. That's just the nature of the game, baby. It's you versus an ocean of studio gangsters. You're not a buster, are you? You should have put that message at the beginning of these games instead of the winners don't use drugs screen. It's a blatant lie. I smoke crack and I win all the time. The smart disc from Predator 2 is here, which is pretty sweet. In fact, a lot of the recognizable weapons from the Aliens franchise are here. Most notably being the pulse rifle. Maybe it's just me, but seeing a Predator using that gun just doesn't seem right to me. It's almost like he's ashamed to be using something so primitive. Dirty peasant gun. Stage 3 has you riding on top of an APC doing drive-bys. Ah, okay. I see why this was a crypt-preferred method of attack in 1992. Those Tech-9s were known to overheat pretty often. I read that on Wikipedia. We're heading to their nest to give those monsters an earthly welcome. In fact, I'm contractually obligated to say, "Welcome to Earth," every time I juggle the alien queen. But wait, turns out the real monsters were never the aliens. This whole debacle was the result of a biological warfare project headed by none other than the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. The true enemies were us all along. Who could have seen that coming? In an Aliens crossover series, no less. Wait a minute. I find it kind of funny that the Renegade General's name is Bush. Capcom. I see where you're going with this. Anyway, look, a power loader. That's neat. It's not long before humans become your prey. But that's not all. There's also a mad predator you fight on an elevator. Shit, it's just like Rolento. He even jumps around and tries to blow you up. And when you beat him, he commits honorable suicide. Man, that's so rad. I want to be just like him someday. The carnage continues for a few more stages. You cleave through hordes of corpo pigs, both human and infected alike, and a whole bunch of aliens. Finally, you make it to General Bush again, and right before he's about to wax philosophical about his plans, he gets ripped in twain, just like Bishop. Except, he's not an android, so he's fucked. Take the Queen and some guards down, it's time to blow the joint. But not before Kurosawa redirects the ship to crash straight into the fucking Earth, eradicating all alien life on the planet. Congrats, pussies. I guess you guys aren't buster-ass studio gangsters after all. You can keep my prison shiv as a show of respect to a fellow G. Oh shit, they'll be back, huh? Probably not. Alright, so now that I've spoiled the game's gripping story, why exactly do I like AVP so much? Couple of reasons for this. For one, it's probably the most technically impressive CPS2 beat-em-up for a number of reasons. The game just looks and sounds so sick from start to finish. And the sheer amount of enemies on screen is just crazy at times. Complaints? Well, the game can be kind of bullshit, but that's to be expected. This game didn't just want your time, it wanted your money too. I do have to say, the music is a thing. It's music. It's very dramatic, urgent even, but it's not exactly distinct or iconic or anything. Hideki Okugawa was the guy who composed AVP, as well as working on pretty much every other Capcom arcade game from 1994 to 1999, most notably Third Strike, which balls uncontrollably, so I suspect the run-of-the-mill nature of AVP's music was more of an executive decision rather than a creative one. Whenever Capcom was granted the license for another franchise, it always seemed like they took the utmost care in giving it the attention and polish it deserves. We've talked about another licensed product on the Hidden Fortress before, Friday the 13th. That game had a lot of interesting ideas under the hood, but it ultimately ended up being a toy, and no care was taken in making the game an organic experience, instead being a cryptic and random one. Capcom made video games. Even when they were paid to make a tie-in for an unreleased movie, and maybe it's just a stroke of luck or good timing here, but AVP just happens to have come at a time where Capcom had been doing this kind of thing for a while. AVP is like a culmination of every beat-em-up they made up to that point. It's their fucking masterpiece, and it's clear they pulled out all the stops for it. The only one I can think of that might be more ambitious is Dungeons & Dragons Shadows over Mystara, the sequel to Tower of Doom. Maybe we'll talk about that one later, but my point is, AVP was where this shit was getting really, really good. Capcom was in a groove that showed no signs of stopping. There's just one problem. You can't play it anymore. There is a completely different AVP beat-em-up on the Super Nintendo, but it sucks ass, and I don't recommend playing it. As far as I know, like other games involving 20th Century Fox or Fox Interactive, no one lives forever. This game has been stuck in licensing hell and has only been ported once. Great. So where? This fucking thing. This stupid goddamn thing is the only place AVP has been ported to. No one bought it, and no one was going to buy it. After 25 years, they had a chance to port it to something people actually own, and instead, they made this ridiculous emulation box that will probably end up in a landfill somewhere. Since 2019, we haven't heard shit about an official port, and guys, it's never gonna happen. I presume the reason they were able to put it on that thing is because of some loophole in their contract that allowed them to put it on something that was technically a home console or something. The game emulates great now. You can play it on MAME or Fightcade. The latter I strongly recommend because you can co-op it online with up to 3 people. I wish Capcom still did projects like this. They still make really good games, sure, but remember when they gave Cyclops sass? Why is he so sassy? Look at him with one hand on his hip and shit. That's the Capcom touch right there. It's the same reason we live in a world where Capcom got the green light to make an Alien versus Predator game. Maybe someday they'll make a fucking game based on, the Deer Hunter. That would be badass.